How's it going there, fellow palm freaks? We're going to do another live stream just because it is just so darn nice out here on our island this afternoon. I got in from work just after 3 and watered the greenhouse, and I've decided I'd do a live stream here. It's currently 4:27? Let's just see. Maybe it's 4:37. 4:37 p.m. Pacific time. Hello, weather follower. I see you in there. Right on. 4:37 p.m. Pacific time. Current temperature is 17 degrees Celsius with 55% humidity, and there's just a slight breeze out of the west. You can see the palm fronds moving gently behind me. When I say 17 degrees, that's a shade temp, okay? So it feels a lot warmer in the sun, and feels very comfortable. Very, very comfortable. I was spent the day mowing, and it was quite cloudy, overcast in town. I got up here to the north end of the island. It's beautiful blue sky and sunshine, and great day. Hello, Martin. How you doing, man? Hope all is well on your side of the world. I had an order for some palm seedlings to ship to Poland, and I shipped them to Poland. I've shipped a lot of palm seedlings and seed to Poland over the years, and this is a nice fella in Poland. He loves palm trees, so I shipped them 5 weeks ago. Canada Post. So I said, message me when you receive the palm seedlings. It's Sable Brazoria and Trachycarpus fortunae Winson, the ones with the 360 fronds. They're just bare root seedlings. So he messaged me last night, or he messaged me a week ago, and he said they're still not here. I says, let's give it another week, and if they're not here, I will ship you some more free of cost. And because 99.9% of the time, my palm seedlings make it to where they need to go. And sometimes Canada Post screws up and they lose stuff. So he says, well, maybe go to FedEx and see how much it'll cost to ship those seedlings FedEx. And it's going pretty good. Right on. Thanks, Martin. I'm glad things are well over there and hope your palms are flourishing. And anyway, so I went to FedEx after work in Ganges, our main village, and I brought in the small envelope. And I said, how much would it cost to send this to Poland? And the guy's playing around on the little computer there, and he comes up with a price, just about $91 Canadian to ship a bubble plastic envelope, thin envelope with some seedlings in. I said, forget that. And I messaged a friend back, Michael in Poland, and I said, I'm gonna ship them Canada Post. So I'll probably mail them out tomorrow. I'm heading over to the Big Island tomorrow. Have to get a few things, so I'll probably mail them tomorrow for them. $91 to ship a package FedEx, a tiny package with some seedlings. Aloha, Vincenze from the Northeast UK. Right on. I know you guys are about 9 hours ahead of us in the UK, and you know how much I like to do these live streams. Like I said, I just finished watering the greenhouse. I got what I had to get done, and I figured, you know what, it's a good afternoon for a live stream. Wendy went to town to grab some stuff to make pizza, so I can sit here and sip on my mint tea. I'm not drinking nettle tea today. And actually, Wendy made some banana bread, not out of our bananas, but bananas you get from the store, the Chiquitas. But yeah, it's a beautiful day here, and I spent the day, like I say, mowing the sports fields. And if this weather keeps up, I'm going to have to do some more watering. I just watered the greenhouse and part of the palm nursery. I didn't water the whole palm nursery. It is Friday. Hope you guys got a good weekend planned. I do enjoy the weekends. I work 5 days a week, but it was a short week here. We had a long weekend last week. Monday was a holiday, a statutory holiday, and I wish every Monday was a statutory holiday. It looks beautiful in Salt Spring, Vincenza. Yeah, it is a nice place. You would like the Southern Gulf Islands. Quite different than the rest of Canada, okay? It is very different than the rest of Canada. I'll tell you a couple of unique facts about Salt Spring Island that you probably don't know. Or maybe you do know from watching my videos, okay? So Salt Spring was settled in around 1858 or 1859, somewhere around there. And the first settlement on the island was Beggsville, just down the road from here, which is now called Fernwood. And there's a dock there, and there's a little store, and there's a little cafe and a restaurant. There used to be a gas station years ago. I used to fill up there in a post office, but that's gone. Some of the first settlers on our island were blacks and Hawaiians, and they settled down on the south end as well shortly after. But we still have a lot of the descendants from the Hawaiians. The early settlers are still here, the Hawaiian descendants. So we have roads named after the Hawaiians here. Tahounee Road, Palu Way, Kanaka, and a few others. C Centel 1902. Do you sell palms online? Yeah, I sell them on eBay. I've always sold palms on eBay, but I've sold them long before eBay. Before eBay was ever thought of, I've been selling palms, right? So I've been shipping them. But you can always contact me on Facebook, or you can email me. I ship palms out weekly, and I ship out seed too. I don't ship palm seedlings in the colder months, so there's always a risk of them freezing during transit, and that's happened a couple of times before when I'm shipping them back east. So temperatures here on the coast are good, and once you start getting across the prairies and into central Canada, into Ontario and Montreal, Quebec, it's very cold there, and they froze. Eric Thompson, hello. Good to see you in there, buddy. I'm shopping for sable miners. So, yeah, no, I have sable miner seedlings. I can ship them bare root. I have some nice ones from Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I also have sable brazoria seedlings. That's what I'm shipping to Poland. And anyway, I was getting back to Salt Spring. So Salt Spring Island is very different than the rest of Canada. I'll tell you that. We do have our own flag here. We actually even have our own currency on Salt Spring Island. Okay, so it's at par with the Canadian currency, and I bet you a lot of you guys don't even know that. Denomination banknotes from $1 to $100 banknotes. Okay, and it is only legal tender here on Salt Spring Island. And even something cooler, the $2 banknote has a Hawaiian on it. It's a very beautiful banknote. It's kind of really neat money. So we do have our own currency here. I use it sometimes. Most of the time, I give it away for souvenirs when people come to visit, or I bring it to Hawaii and I give it to some of my Hawaiian friends. Eric Thompson. Let's see. Let me put my glasses on here. That's why it's difficult to see things. Hit 30 today. Wow, the warm weather has arrived. 30 Celsius, right on. It is 17 degrees Celsius last time I looked here, shade temp in the Stevenson screen. So that's a double louvered weather box with weather recording instruments in it. So what would the growth rate of Washingtonia roast in Ireland? I don't know. It might be similar to here. I think they still grow pretty fast here on the West Coast. Put them in full sun, keep them watered in the summertime, and fertilize them. And they're a pretty fast growing palm. In heat, in the deep south, they grow even faster. So definitely worth the risk, but they are going to need some protection in colder climates. Ireland, well, I tell you what, you may not never have to ever protect the Washingtonia robusta there if you're and you're one of the zone 9 areas of Ireland, especially if you're down in Cork along the water there. Eric Thompson, not too bad for having 2 weeks ago here. Yeah. Okay, there's a bird watching me. That's sweet. 2 weeks ago, wow. We had snow January 14th or 15th. It snowed and then it was gone 3 days. That was it. Winter was 3 days here this year. Often we get winters without snow, and then sometimes we get the snowfall from hell. All right. So what happens during a cold event? You get this cold, dry air that comes down out of Alaska, out of the Gulf of Alaska, and then it infiltrates down and it sits over top of the southern Gulf Islands here, and then it mixes with the warm, moist Pacific air off the ocean, and that creates snow. So temperatures are just right for the worst snowfalls from hell, right? So it could be sitting down at around 1 degree, 0 degrees Celsius, so 32 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe -1, not too cold, and then you get this wet, heavy, sticky snow. The deepest snow I've seen here and I've recorded was December 1996 with 28.5 inches. It was the snowfall from hell. I wasn't too pleased with it. Didn't lose any plants. It wasn't that cold. It didn't get cold enough to kill anything, but the snow was horrendous. Martin, tomorrow I'm going to plant a full bed of tropicals. Yes, that is going to be a good day, Martin. Good man. That's what you got to do. Let's just see. Hello, sir. I see that. I'm just looking over the things, make sure I haven't missed any of your comments here. Yeah, no, I don't like. I'll tell you something, you guys. I used to really like snow when I was younger. Okay, and I used to ski a lot. I used to ski up at Whistler. So there's Whistler Mountain and there's Blackcomb Mountain. I skied at actually Blackcomb Mountain, which is beside Whistler Mountain. I've never actually skied on Whistler Mountain. I skied at Blackcomb, and now they have a chair-to-chair, a peak-to-peak chair that you can go across like a gondola. I haven't skied there since 1985 or 86, so it's been a long time. But I used to ski there a lot, and I've skied all the local mountains. Last time I went skiing was probably about maybe 4 years ago, something like that, up in Mount Washington on Vancouver Island. But I don't like it anymore. It's too cold for me up there. I don't like seeing snow. I don't like seeing snow around me. I like to see snow at a distance when it's on the mountains, but I don't want it in our garden. I don't care if I ever see it again. It's nice to go up in the summer for the gondola ride. Yeah, I've never done that, but I have been on gondolas before at Grouse Mountain. I used to ski there. You got to remember, Vancouver, I like to see sand, sea, and palms. You got the beaches, you got the palm trees, and then you got a backdrop of mountains that you can ski on. They're absolutely beautiful mountains. You got Cypress Bowl, you got Grouse, and you have Seymour Mountains. I've skied Grouse a lot and Seymour a lot, but I've never skied Cypress Bowl. And they're night skiing up there too, which is even better. So I used to go to night skiing. So I'd drive out from where I lived. I lived about 25, 30 miles southeast of Vancouver, and I'd drive out there and do night skiing. It was actually really beautiful. But I was younger. And as I get older, I dislike cold weather even more. So it doesn't really interest me. Vincenze, I would love to see your olive farm on Sultry. Any chance vlog on this, mate? Well, I probably wouldn't get reception on my. I have videos of it. There's lots of videos of it here if you want to see it. I know the owners, George and Sherry, very nice people. I can go there anytime I want, but I haven't done any vlogs from there. I've taken lots of photos of it, but I doubt there would be internet reception there. It is about 16 miles, probably south of here, the olive farm, something like that, or at least close to it, maybe 15 miles south of here. It's on the south end slope going down into the Burgoyne Valley on Lees Hill. And the other slopes are all commercial vineyards, right? So that's where they get a lot of 30 degrees Celsius weather. It's in from the ocean. I think the south end of the island's about 6 miles wide, and it's kind of in from the ocean, away from the ocean, so it heats up there. YouTube, can you grow a tree fern in a container long term? Absolutely. You can grow a palm tree in a container long term, a Trachycarpus. I've seen it. Yep, you can grow tree ferns in containers. We have two Cyathea cooperi, the Australian tree ferns, and I don't think I'm ever going to put them in the ground. I decided I'm just going to keep them in containers. They're in 2-gallon pots. I told you the story. For those of you that weren't here when I told you the story, when we went to Hawaii in the wintertime, I put them in the basement. It's a cool basement. It's a rock kind of cellar, and I got lights in there, and they dried out. And I thought, oh, God, these guys are dead. When I got back, I looked at them. They're crispy brown. So I stuck them outside in the winter and let it rain on them, and there's green came out. They're looking good right now. They're pushing out fronds. Are tree ferns deer resistant? I would say no. Um, I've seen them eat our local ferns. I've never seen them eat our tree ferns. We have a lot of tree ferns. I've never seen, well, sorry, they can eat our tree ferns because our tree ferns are behind a fence. But up at the nursery, sometimes they get deer in there, and I don't think it's their favorite, but they would try them. I think young deer will sample everything. So they're not deer proof. I would say they're somewhat deer resistant, but the sword ferns, our native western sword ferns, evergreen, are certainly not deer resistant because deer do eat them. I go down there into the back 40 of our property. There's thousands of them, and the tops of them are eaten off, a lot of them. So deer do eat them. We have a lot of deer here. Martin, we had 5 minutes of snow this year, and it was gone as soon as it hit the ground. See, that's the type of snow I like that Martin gets. 5 minutes. When it hits the ground, it's gone. That is the best. Eric Thompson, have you ever seen the videos of guys slacklining in Squamish? Is that where they climb the mountains? I've seen them climbing when I've gone up to Whistler. I've seen guys actually mountain climbing up in there like rock climbers, and I would never do that. No way. That's pretty sketchy. I think a few of them actually died a couple of years ago. It was maybe I think 3 or 4 of them died over there. They fell off the cliffs. Let's just see. Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, try tree fern. You can grow them in a pot. Dylan Kelly, do you think that nightcap palm would grow in Ireland? I think it'd have a good chance. Rapilostylus sapida, shaving brush palm from New Zealand. I've tried it here, little ones. Didn't work, but they were really small, and it went through a cold winter. But I would say, yeah, hello, Jane. Aloha, Jane in Hawaii is in there. I would definitely try shaving brush palm or Nike. How do you say that? Nike palm? Nikau palm. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Anyway, the shaving brush palm, I would definitely give that a try in Ireland because Ireland is balmy and palmy. And for those of you that don't know much about Ireland, there are lots of palms in Ireland, okay? It's a really nice balmy climate regulated by the Gulf Stream current. Just remember, latitude really has nothing to do with it, okay? You look at the latitude of Scotland, areas of Scotland at 54 degrees north latitude, far north of here, and they're growing all sorts of exotica. Eric Thompson, it's like walking a tightrope, but it's no, no, no. I haven't seen that then. No, no, that's crazy. Tightrope walking. No thanks. Jason, aloha from Southern Oregon. I'm a palm supplier, except this year with pandemic. Yeah, thanks, man. I love Southern Oregon. Where are you in Ashland? I know Oregon well. I used to go down there a lot, especially to the Oregon coast, and I've been down the I-5 several times too, and I've stayed along the way. You know, like Salem, Eugene, Oregon City, Medford, Roseburg. I've never stayed in Ashland, but usually we hit the coast, and I've stayed lots of places down the coast as far south as Brookings, and then hopped over into Crescent City. Lots of nice palms down in the southern Oregon coast. Lots of big cordy lines all the way down the coast, especially Florence. There's some nice big acacia trees there in Cordy lines, and even in Seaside, I spotted some as well. I didn't really look closely in Astoria or Gearhart, but I'm sure there are some. Eric, one of my best friends, set a world record CBC. Whoa, that's hardcore. It's kind of like bungee jumping. I'm not into, but I did do zip lining up in Hawaii. You know, we got married in Hawaii on Maui, November 30th, 2016, and Wendy's son got us zip lining for a present. And it's like, oh man, I didn't know if I really wanted to do it, but it was kind of fun. So we did some zip lining. Climbed up some big eucalyptus trees to get onto the zip line, though. Just outside Grants Pass. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, nice hot spot down there. That's a toasty area in the summertime. People don't realize how hot it gets inland Oregon, southern Oregon. I remember being in Salem one time and going over to the coast. I was cooking hot in Salem, and I went over to, or maybe it was Eugene, and I went over to the coast to Florence, and I was wearing a sweatshirt. The difference in temperature was amazing. The ocean makes it a lot cooler. Vincenze, I'm 55 degrees north, Lake Martin. Hardly any snow this winter. Yeah. See, you got the balminess and palminess, I like to say. Plant a palm, you can't go wrong. If you got balmy temps in the winter, you got to push some palms and some exotica. I just shot a video of our gasteria. I'm quite pleased with gasteria plant. If you don't know what gasteria plant is, it kind of looks like a bit of an aloe vera, kind of like a hardy aloe. Maybe it's related. It's very succulent. And 3 or 4 years ago, I bought a small one at Home Depot over on the Big Island, and I stuck it in the garden, and now it's spread. Okay, so now it's got a clump. It's got a clump of gasteria like this, and they're really well rooted in. So last year, I picked up a couple of more at our grocery store. They're selling them as indoor plants. I stuck them in, and they're doing really well. Rooted in nicely, no winter damage. Waterfalls too, sweet. Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I know on Squamish and all those areas up to Whistler. Martin, I bought 2 trunk cordyline australis yesterday. Hope it gets. Yeah, they will. They grow fast, cordylines. Just don't let them freeze. Let's see. Who else do we have across here on the comment board here? They do all crazy. They do all kinds of crazy cliff jumps with lines in Utah. Oh man, that's hardcore. I'd like to watch it on YouTube, but I definitely wouldn't want to do it. I would actually stand there and watch them do it live. It'd make for a good YouTube video, that's for sure. Jason Dane usually get 2 weeks over 100. 2 weeks. Wow, wow. Yeah, that's hot. That's like that's almost kind of comparable to the Okanagan of British Columbia, our province. We do have true desert here, and it is a lot of 30-degree days throughout the summer months. And you'd have to Google it and look up the climates of Osoyoos, Kamloops, Penticton, Peachland, and Oliver. Really, really hot area. There's rattlesnake, sagebrush, cactus, and there are some amazing cactus gardens there too. It gets very, very hot. It's very dry there. But our winters keep us growing only cool hardy palms. Third year filibusters, but they slightly. Oh, that's cool. You got filibuster right on. I remember seeing photos quite a few years ago, and I think it was in Medford in a parking lot at a store, and I'm pretty sure they were filibusters, and they were there for quite a few years, and they're actually getting quite big. So I think with a little bit of help, they would work. There's a guy in Oklahoma that grows Washingtonia, and he's planted them along a roadway, and they've been there for quite a few years, but he does wrap them. And Oklahoma gets a lot colder than it does in Southern Oregon, I can tell you that. Southern Oregon, there's some very tall old Trachycarpus palms. Even in Ashland, I've seen some nice ones there. Jason, but our winters, let's see. Jane, well, does Cyathea australis? No, it's not as hardy as Dicksonia antarctica, Jane. So that's why. And I've tried it in the ground before, and it froze in a bad winter. Dicksonia antarctica is much hardier here, and more people grow them in their garden. They do sell Cyathea cooperi, Australian tree ferns, but I'm going to keep ours in pots. And you know what? I'll do another video of them soon when they get a few more fronds, and I'll show you what they look like. I bought them at the grocery store here. They had tons of tree ferns. They had Dixonia antarctica. They were, what were they each? $11.95. I think they were selling tree ferns for it in 1 gallon pots. They're quite nice. And the same with the Australian ones. So I scooped a couple Australian ones, and they are sitting down on the lower deck. Martin, I bought my first trunk yucca. The trunk uh, feels different than I thought. Little hollow. Oh, hopefully it's not hollow. They should be solid. I wonder what type of yucca it is. Jason Kent, not keep Robusta alive though. Yeah, there are Robusta growing on our coast. They're going to need help in bad winters, and then they will freeze in a really bad winter. My buddy had a really big one. Actually, I had more than one friend in the Palm Society that's been growing Robustas. Some of them got up to like 10, 12 feet of trunk, a little bit more, and then a bad winter took them out. There's a nice one growing in front of the Empress Hotel in Victoria, and it should put out quite a few fronds this year. I would say it's got about 10 feet of trunk on it, and I do have a video of it here. There's a big sable palmetto growing beside it as well. The only protection it got was a wrapped trunk with burlap, which is absolutely useless. Wrapping the trunk does nothing. Let's see. Filibust is a good one for a colder climate. Brandywine Falls, cool. That's what Eric is talking about near Whistler. And Vincenze, I have 2 Washingtonia flip for a 12-month-old seedling. Have you had success keeping them outside in your climate? Short term. We have one. We have one. It may be a filibuster growing in the ground up by the our other driveway. What's quite far from here. It's about 100 and something feet away from us, and it's in a sheltered spot. Problem is, it's not that sunny there, so it seems to be growing slow. But I'll do a video on it sometime, and I'll show you. It's growing under some big trees, and so far so good. But we haven't had any bad winters for a long time, so a bad winter will take it out, and it's going to need some protection if it does get ugly out in the winter. Jane, I've heard that Cythia delbata, the silver fern, is naturally. Wow, cool. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, tree ferns have naturalized at Helligan in Cornwall, the Lost Gardens of Helligan. There are some big tree ferns there. And if you haven't ever been to Cornwall, or if you haven't seen pictures of it, Google them or get a YouTube video of the gardens, the Eden Project or the Helligan Gardens in Cornwall. I've never been there, but I know a lot about it, and I do actually have a book on it as well. Jared Johnson, I'm in VA Beach. VA Beach is a good climate too. Lots of palms there, lots of sables. Jared Johnson, I just bought a sable palmetto today, 5 gallon. Now I want to keep it pot as long as possible since it's slow grow. Do you have any? Well, if you're in VA Beach, you could plant that sucker in the ground. I'm sure there's lots of sable palmettos there. I mean, I don't know how do they do in a bad winter. Pungo Palms Nursery, or is it Pungo Palms Nursery? And then there's the and Mini Golf, I think it is in VA Beach, has some palmettos that have been there a long time. Atlantic Avenue, the main strip is lined with palms in VA Beach. So I don't think you'd have a problem growing it there. I used to have a friend named Lisa that lived there, and she moved to South Carolina. She had a nice sable palmetto in her garden, and it actually did get seeds on it. So you do get the heat in VA Beach, but it also can get cold at times. But more often it's warm than it is cold. So I would definitely plant it in the ground. Martin, I can't squeeze the trunk. I can't squeeze the trunk. It just feels. Oh yeah, well maybe that's just the way it is. Is it a Yucca gloriosa or a alifolia? What type of yucca is it? It may be a recurvifolia. They are pretty light. I mean, I've dug out some big ones. They're definitely not as heavy as palm trees. I don't know if you saw my latest video I uploaded yesterday on. We had to move some palm trees at the Rainbow swimming pool because you have to do some work on the water pipes and put in a new water pipe for a new building they're putting in. So they didn't know where to put them, and I said, "Well, let's plant them by the pond." So we put them by the pond, and it sure helped with the mini excavator to lift them out because the big one was actually quite heavy, and even the smaller ones, we got a big root ball. Damaged very minimal roots. Most of the roots are 99% intact, so I think they should take well. $5 hole for $1 tree, lots of topsoil, root booster. They should grow good by the pond where we have them. Jane, did you know that there are tropical rhododendron? Absolutely, we grow them. Sinograndi and calophytum. We have one large leaf rhodo in our garden here, and there are some big ones on Salt Spring Island. And if you go to the far west coast, we have native rhododendrons here in our province, and especially on the west coast. Sinograndi and calophytum have nice big leaves. We have a Rex. We also have a Rex rhodo in our garden by our tree fern. It's just a small one though, and they do look nice and they grow into trees. Jared, we plan to move in the next 3 to 4 years. And if I planned it, would it be worth? Are you moving to VA Beach? Is that where you're moving to? Or are you moving from VA Beach? If you're going to move, I wouldn't put it in the ground. Keep it in a pot. Why disturb it? Why dig it out again if it's established? So just leave it in a pot. It'd be easier. Let's just see. What else do we have here? Bob Chapin. Yes, I saw your video on moving the play. The Palms at Rainbow pool. That's our public pool near Ganges. And so anyway, I think they're going to do very good by the swimming pool. And that is actually a cold spot. It is a very cold spot there. So stay tuned for updates. We'll see how they do now that they're going to be far away from the building. I do have a lot of palm trees growing there. I have about 5 razorbacks growing in one clump. And then I have 4 in other planters. And now we got the 3 that we moved. So there's quite a few windmill palms growing in there. And they're all doing very well. The palm. Do you have any plans to plant tree ferns next to water? Well, the only place we have that I could plant them next to water would be a pond. And our pond, our natural pond with a creek, is down in a deep ravine and it gets quite cold down there. And I don't think a tree fern would do good down there. That's where I grow those trachycarpus that love the swampy conditions. And if there's going to be frost on our property, it's going to happen down there because it's very deep and it's quite far from our upper garden here at the bottom of a slope. We do have a smaller pond in our upper garden. It might be worth a try, but we do actually have some not too far from that pond, and I can shoot a video of them for you sometime and show you. They're smaller tree ferns, and they're doing very well. And they are evergreen here. They're Dicksonia antarctica. They do look good by ponds. I definitely like them by ponds. Let's just see. Dylan, where do you get Nike palm seeds online? You could try eBay, or you could try rarepalmseeds.com, and they might have some Nike shaving brush palm seeds, and it definitely worth the try in Ireland. I would do it if I were you. Milk that climate for all it's worth. Jared Johnson, got it. Thank you. When is the best time to upgrade to a bigger pot? Well, if it's root bound, I would do it now. And you don't want to go to a massive pot. So if you're in a 5-gallon pot, I mean, you could step it up to a 15-gallon pot, which would be fine. Which reminds me, I have one palm that's very root bound in a 15-gallon pot, and I'm going to step it up to a 20-gallon pot, or I might just plant it in the ground. It is a Trachycarpus latisectus. We also Trachycarpus latisectus in the ground, but we have a big one in a pot as well. And we have a Martianus, which is not that hardy here. I lost one in a bad winter. I don't know if maybe it was 2008. 2008 was a bad winter here, and it nuked all the wimpy. It nuked all the wimpy plants in the garden. It weeds out the wimps. That's what it does. Sabodium chamisoi is the most common tree fern on Oahu. I love the tree ferns in Hawaii, and I do have videos of them too. Going up to the Manoa Falls, there's tree ferns in there. It's just absolutely beautiful in the rainforest. Is it possible, Willie, to get mature older palms transplanted? Absolutely. If the nursery has them, if you can get them at your nursery, if not, you're going to have to order them in. You can transplant palm trees at any size if you have the equipment to do it. Okay. Soon, well, I don't know how soon, but in the near future, they want to move the palm trees out of Centennial Park. You've probably seen videos of them. Those were planted just about 20 years ago, and they want to put them at the pool. They want more palms. Our parks manager wants more palms at the pool. He wants big palms at the entrance. So one of them is, I guess, about 16 feet tall. And then there's another one that's probably about maybe 10 feet tall. And then the other one is maybe about 7 or 8 feet tall. And we're definitely going to use a machine and a crane truck, an excavator and a crane truck to get those out at the time when we do it. Willie, is it possible to get, okay, I read that. Layla, I how grow Cypra palm tree. Which one is that? Cypra. I'm curious. Jared, thank you for your help. You're welcome anytime, buddy. Martin, it's Recurbifolia. Oh yeah, weeping yucca. Yeah, they're hardy. They're very hardy. I think they're native to the southeastern United States. They do get nice flowers on them. They often bloom here in the winter months, and we have a lot of Recurbifolia on our property. Bob, and on Old Divide up Cranberry, definitely colder. Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. You should watch my videos I shot over the years up in Cranberry. It'll be raining down in Ganges, and it's very snowy and a lot of snow on the ground up in the Cranberry Valley. I remember years ago, back in the 1990s, I was at the Parrot place at Ann and Jerry's place, the uh, the Parrot Avery, and I was getting a parrot. I got a parrot from her, a macaw, blue and gold macaw. I went up there on my lunch break. It was nice and sunny at Foxglove. It was late March, and I went up there and I was standing there with my wife. And out of the blue, it was clouds were coming in, and it started snowing. I was like, man, this is the weirdest thing. And then I drove back into Ganges, and it was sunny. It's a microclimate of its own in the Cranberry Valley. Cranberry Valley is Zone 8A, okay, but there are palms out there. I know of people that grow palms in the Cranberry Valley, and one of them is actually quite big. She told me been in her garden for years, but she still never sent me a picture of it. So I'm gonna have to get on her case. She's a very nice lady, and her family's lived up there for years. I also think Dan and Celeste have a palm tree in their garden as well, and they're up on I think Toynbee Road, and it's very cold up there. Bob, not sure if palms would like it. Well, depends on your climate. Jane, can you see wild Subodium um, at Manoa Fall Cliffs Trail? You can see, yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I love it up there. I got videos. You can watch my videos on Lion Arboretum in Manoa Falls. We went and took a dip in the falls. We probably weren't supposed to, but we sat in there. And then there was really cool going along, and there was some girl meditating in this ravine, and there's palms and tree ferns around her. It's just absolutely beautiful up there. I love the rainforest on Oahu. Um, Jason Dane, have you tried or have Sable Riverside? Yes, have 15. I'll tell you how hardy they are. Okay, in the late 1980s, and I left it at my last location, and I haven't tried it since. That's another one I forgot that I imported from California through the Palm Society. It was a 1 gallon or 2 gallon Sable Riverside from a nursery in California. It could have been Jungle Music, or it could have been Neon Palm Nursery. And I planted it outside in my Zone 8A, 8B location, southeast of Vancouver, and it survived 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And then another winter, it survived around 6.5 degrees or 6.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So it did drop down into the single digits. More than once it survived with no protection, and it is a very tough palm. That's one that I have to try here, and I keep forgetting to try it. But Sable Riverside is an awesome palm. They do like the heat, though, so you probably have sufficient heat for it there in Southern Oregon. So that's one I have to get. I should probably get some seeds. But the problem with me, I'm getting too old to grow these types of palms from seed. So if I could buy a plant that's already established, it'd be better. Start young, you guys. Start young. Daniel's in. Any palms near Shawnigan Lake? Or, yep, nope. My friend Fred, and I was thinking about him the other day. He had palms in his garden at Shawnigan Lake, and Shawnigan Lake does get colder. He had lots of windmill palms growing at his place in Shawnigan Lake. I don't know whatever happened to Fred. He was in the Palm Society, and I've been out to his place to see his bananas and palms. That was quite a few years ago. It was back in maybe the 1990s. I was there late 1990s, and him and his wife split, so I think they sold the place. So who knows what happened? But he had a lot of windmill palms in Musabaju growing out there, and he had a greenhouse attached to his house, like a big solarium full of exotica. Layla, grow palm tree, one seed set by side. Plant small and big. Grow palm tree, one seed set by side. So what type of palm is it, Layla? I want to know. Give me the dirt. Willie, what kinds of other hardy palms are hardy to zone 6? Well, really, long term, I don't know if there's any palms that will survive long term zone 6, but they will survive quite a while in zone 6. And it just depends where you are in zone 6. Okay, so if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, southern Kansas, the state Kansas, not Kansas City, southern Kansas, the state, zone 6, 6B, Sable Minor, and some of the other hardy sables and Rapidophyllum hystrix will work there. If you're in a zone 6 in Ontario, it will always need protection in the north, okay? I know there was some growing in Ohio in zone 6, and apparently they were there for probably just about a decade. Willie. So, and somebody ripped them out. I guess one of the maintenance guys ripped them out, I was told just recently. But that's pretty impressive to have needle palms growing in Ohio with no protection. So you have to think of the worst winters, okay? I always look at the extreme minimums. How cold can it get in that area? And will that take out a palm tree? So when I'm talking long term, when it gets down to minus 25 degrees Celsius and it stays down there for several days, will your palm survive? That's when it's going to need some protection. So I would say any palm tree is probably fairly short term in zone 6 and might need some help in the worst winters. Like I say, there's a, what's his name? Oh, He's in one of my groups, and he always posts on Zone Pushers. Jacob Fry in Kansas. He shows some pretty impressive sables growing in Kansas, and it looks like they've been there for a while. And he is in Zone 6, so up against a building. Utilize your microclimates. Put them in your best microclimate and give it a try. It's fun to push the envelope. Uh, let's just see what else do we have here. Well, Riverside will work here. Oh yeah, no, they're very hardy, Jason. I didn't have a problem with it. You know what? I wish I would have taken it with me when I moved here, but the new people probably ripped it out. Some people are just turned into palms. Yeah, Willie, in Ohio in the Buckeye State, look for your mildest, best microclimate in your garden. So if it's a southwest facing wall close to a building and you got an overhang over top, give it a zone, maybe that'll give it a half a zone's worth of protection. Plant the sable miner there. It's not going to break your foundation or crack your sidewalks. And needle palm is the most cold hardy palm. I call that king of the frost beaters, Rapatophyllum hystrix. That's what you got to try. And try some hardy eco-type sable miner. I can't say they will never grow there because people do grow them. But for the long term, will they survive 20 or 30 years? I don't know. They may. I mean, the one guy posted the pictures in Ohio. They've been there close to 10 years and they were needle palms. That's pretty impressive. You might want to get the book Palm Trees Won't Grow Here and Other Myths. It is put out by a guy that lives in Ohio, some sort of, I think, university guy, and he experiments with hardy palms. It came out years ago. I bought it many years ago. Daniel, I know about the seasonal palms on the beach in Port Dover. Yeah, and Lake Erie, they're removed. Yeah, if they leave them in, I mean, they would be dead. They're expensive annuals. The palms planted in Halifax. Well, my friend Michelle posted a picture of it last week, and that Trachycarpus fortunei does not look good. Okay, it was boxed in. I think they did use some heat with it, but not enough heat. Halifax can get very cold, so the palm, it has quite a nice trunk on it, but the fronds are there's very few fronds at the top. It's suffering from the cold. To me, that looks like a southern import. It's got a very skinny trunk. So now, if you were to take a palm tree from here on the Pacific coast of Canada with a nice, big, fat, thick trunk that's been growing in the ground for 25 years or so and stick it out there and put it in the box, it'd probably do a lot better than the import job from, well, I'm guessing it's probably from Florida. Go to people who love palm trees and exotic plants and just keep scrolling back and you'll see last week's post of the palm tree in Halifax. There's also Rapatophyllum in Halifax in the garden there. And I don't know how, I haven't seen an update, so I'll have to get my friend to post an update on it. He's in one of my groups, and I have several Facebook groups, gardening groups, not just that one. And he often posts in there. And if he posts, maybe I can share his picture to the other group. I'll ask him anyway and ask him see how it's doing. Hopefully, it's still alive. Halifax is a long way from here, and people that don't know the size of Canada, right? It's a big country, right? So that's 4 time zones east of here, and there's still another half a time zone east of that if you go into Newfoundland, or Newfoundland's another half a time zone from that. So we're Pacific time, and that's Atlantic time zone. It's a long way away. One of these days, I'm going to go there and check it out. So I hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope you're, like I say, you're going to enjoy the weekend. Things are starting to open up with this pandemic. I have a feeling there might be a second wave of it, so keep your guard up. I feel very safe here on Salt Spring Island. I don't know anybody that has it. And we're still cleaning the parks trucks we're in. I clean the public washrooms. Only one washroom's open, and that's in the park where the palm trees grow. But it looks like they may open up the other ones in another week or two. So things are starting to open up. And I think down the States, everything's pretty much opened up. So be careful out there and keep your guard up because I think it's still floating around out there. Jason, what are the best yuccas in Zone 7B? Yuccas, there's lots of yuccas you can grow in 7B, 8A. Layla, I can cool here in winter, December daytime, 57. Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful. That's good temperature. You can grow lots of nice palms there, Layla. Push it. Trachycarpus fortunei and lots of others, nice ones besides Trachycarpus fortunei. Jubea chilensis you should try. Jason, you can grow Yucca elata. You can grow Yucca rostrata. You can grow Yucca elafolia. You could grow baccata, Yucca baccata, filamentosa, recurvifolia, York Yucca gloriosa superba, variegated Yucca gloriosa. You could even try Yucca brevifolia if it's dry enough. Daniel's in BC is way ahead of Ontario on their COVID. Yeah, I think there was a few cases reported today. I try not to listen to the news too much, but I listen to I listen to music in my Parks truck when I'm cruising around the island. I listen to oldies. I like oldies and I like heavy duty stuff too. But yeah, it's good here. I mean, everybody's keeping their social distance where we live here. Like when you go into the grocery store, like I said, you got to keep your distance from people. And a lot of people are wearing masks. I don't bother. I do wear gloves. And when I pay for things, I have not used cash since this pandemic was started and got crazy, right? I've only used debit tap. That's it. I don't even touch the buttons on the thing. I just tap my thing, so I don't carry any cash with me. And even if you're going to use the little ATM thing, they sterilize it every time it's used. So you still got to be cautious out there. Keep your distance and be safe. And like I say, I think a second wave will be coming. And if you remember the Spanish flu, back in the day, well, you don't remember it, but you've heard about it. The second wave killed more people than the first wave. Martin, how fast does Trachycarpus wagnerianus grow? But yeah, they grow pretty quick. Trachycarpus, I would say, nearly as fast, a little slower, but nearly as fast as Trachycarpus fortunei. There's some very nice ones here on Salt Spring Island, and there's some big ones on our coast. Some that are over 20 feet tall. Let's just see, Daniel. That is interesting? That trackies. You got to write the rest of that. Yeah, we got a lot of trackies behind us. You see that? This is Trachy Central Station here. I don't know how many trackies we have in the garden. I have actually lost count of the Trachycarpus fortunei. Let's pull this around here, and you can see some more palms there. I don't know if you can see me. The sun is just blasting in here. It is 5:19, and it is absolutely beautiful day, but you can see some of the palms over there too. I'll put it this way. There we go. There we are. How's that, folks? Then southern. Oh, what does it say? That is interesting that Trachycarpus have been in BC long enough to be different in stems. The southern Trachycarpus. Yeah, well, Trachycarpus up here get really thick trunks, right? So the oldest ones that I know of here were planted in the mid 1940s, all right, and they're still here. And what happens with great age? Trachycarpus fortunei palms get really skinny at the base, and they actually lose their fiber. Hey, there's the kitty. Have you ever seen our cat? I think I'd like to name this cat Trachycarpus, but they can't. Can't do that. This is Wendy's daughter's cat, and it was Floki, and then she named it Merlin. But he's a pretty cool cat. He just lounges around and does nothing. That's what cats do best. But Trachycarpus here have very thick trunks, but with great age, they get smaller trunks at the bottom and thicker at the top, kind of like a light bulb. That's the shape of a Trachycarpus, right? Like this. Do you grow tropical looking flowers like birds of paradise? Or yeah, weather follower, we have a bird of paradise in a 20-gallon pot, and I do haul it in to the cool basement for the winter. Canna lilies used to grow a lot of them. The deer used to totally destroy them, and the ground up here is just so rocky and dry in the winter. It's really or in the year round, so it's very tough to grow canna lilies, especially in the summer. And so we don't grow them anymore. So maybe we'll have to relocate some to another area on a lower slope by the bananas. But we used to have a big stand of canna lilies, red ones, and they used to bloom nicely. But the deer, like I say, would rip them to pieces. I used to go out and spray them with egg and water, and they don't like egg and water. And finally, Wendy came into the picture and put up a fence. So if I was to grow canna lilies here, I'd have to excavate a big area and fill it full of good soil and water them lots because it does dry out here terribly in the summer months. Perfect name for a cat, Trachycarpus. I could call it Trachycarpus. I could call it Winson, Trachycarpus Winson. I have to run that by Wendy's daughter. Jason, trackies grow like weeds in Grants Pass. Have over 500 all over town. So yeah, that's what I like to hear. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, they do grow like weeds, and they self-seed like weeds down there too. I mean, you're very close to California there, Southern Oregon. So not a challenge to grow Trachycarpus there. Very nice growing area, and you do get the heat to grow some very heat-loving plants down there. Crepe myrtles, oleanders, and all that good stuff. Bob Chapman, have seen the pup often. Do they? Oh yeah, they do. The cat who gets along great with the cat. The cat came into the picture about a month ago. We needed a cat to kill rats and mice. Although the dog does take care of some of the rats and mice, but cat's probably better at it. And yeah, they get along just fine. Cat who wants to play with the cat a lot. And sometimes the cat doesn't want to play, so it gives them a little swat. But yeah, they're buddies. Weather follower, the stream at the back of your property. What is the highest water rise? Well, It's not going to go too much farther than the stream. It's going to flood over the Trachycarpus palms that grow beside it. So the stream is about maybe this wide, something like that. I don't know, maybe 3 feet wide, and it's about maybe this deep, something like that. And the Trachycarpus palms are growing on either side of it. So I've seen it flood out maybe about 6 feet over one side. The other side's a little higher, so at least 6 feet on one side where it's flooded over the Trachycarpus palms. And there's a pond, right? So it goes into a pond, and then it goes out to an outlet to another pond, and then it actually goes into the ocean across the street from us. So it's never going to flood us out up here. I'll tell you that. Jane, are you going to grow more agave species? We have some agaves in the garden. We have Peria, I think that's what it is, and Agave Americana. Anyway, you're probably better at agaves than me. I'll shoot another video of them sometime, and you can comment on them and tell me what they are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have about 5 or 6 agaves in the garden, and lots of babies, lots of offsets around them. And that's the nice thing about agaves; they do get pups. I guess you can call them pups, offsets. Daniel's saying, where's the most bizarre place you've been that you've seen palms and were relatively surprised? I've been to the tropics a lot. I go to the tropics a lot. I would have to say I've been to Alaska a few times too. I didn't see, but I've only been to coastal Alaska up to Skagway. I was looking for palms there, and I thought next time I go to Alaska, I'm going to bring some palm seeds. I saw lots of rhodos up there. The more northern place I saw a palm tree was Campbell River on Vancouver Island. So I would say that, and also in the Fraser Valley, which is about, let's just see, this is about 50 or 60 miles southeast of Vancouver, and it gets quite cold out there, zone 7B, 8A. I have seen palms out there in Chilliwack. Whether they're still there, I don't know. That was a long time ago. That was back in the 1980s, okay? So I did see palms in a quite a bit colder growing zone. And as far north as I've seen palms would be Campbell River, British Columbia. But, that's zone 8B up there. It is still quite far north from here, though. How long have you been planting palm trees, Willie? About 35 years. I've been growing exotic plants, and this is no lie, since I was a little kid, okay? I got my first exotic plant, and some of you heard the boring story. It was a grand opening of a mall up on the Sunshine Coast, and there's lots of palm trees on the Sunshine Coast in British Columbia, and they're giving away plants, little 4-inch potted plants as the grand opening gifts to people. And my dad took me over there to these plants. That would have been 1970. And I picked out a Cheflera, and I had that plant for 20 years. And it got into a nice big tree inside the house, and I gave it to my sister-in-law before I moved here to Salt Spring Island. And then I got into palm trees into the mid 80s. But I've always liked palm trees. I've liked palm trees. Soon after I got that Cheflera, I was fascinated with palm trees. And it wasn't until nearly the mid 80s that I knew they could actually grow here. So that's when I started going crazy on them. Where can I get a Mediterranean blue fan palm? Probably Cedar Rim Nursery in Langley. They get lots of pretty cool stuff. Martin, I have a Thalia delbata. Foliage looks a lot like a bird of paradise in its winter. Oh, that'd be a nice plant to have. That would be a very nice plant to have. Let's see, who am I missing here? Justin Shaw, where can I get a bird? I got that one, Mediterranean blue fan palm. The sun is right on this message board now. Do you think Sam, do you think it's possible to grow date palm from seed as a house plant? Would it, I don't know how good they do. I think they get kind of leggy, but you'd have to have like a solarium where it's really bright. There was a huge Phoenix canariensis growing at Bloedel Conservatory in Vancouver, and they actually had to cut it down. And it was big, like it was a big palm tree, and I think it was getting close to the ceiling of the dome, so they actually had to cut it down. So yeah, it's possible to grow them inside, providing you have lots of light and you have some warmth for them. Weather follower Rip small starfish. I'm hoping it survived. I found it on the tarmac the other day. I shot a video of it, and I put it down into the ocean. Jason, I have a few Agave Americanas, but they don't like a lot of water. Yeah, ours are growing under a tree. I have a variegated Agave Americana. There's some nice ones growing downtown Vancouver along the ocean. Sam sketches, do you think it's possible to grow? Yeah, I've got that one. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Over 35 years of, let's just see. I'm trying to read. Daniel, Have you seen certain municipalities in BC along the coast be more open, accepting variety of landscaping versus others? Well, I can tell you one thing. It started in Vancouver, okay, like where the streets were lined with palm trees. Thanks to us in the Palm Society, we pushed for it, and we made it happen in April 1990. And then other districts followed suit. There's a lot of them in Burnaby and out in Tsawwassen, about 20 miles south of Vancouver, a oceanside community. The streets are lined with palm trees. They did that in the early 2000s. I think it was around 2000. They lined the streets with palm trees, and the people started complaining about it. Well, Tough Beans, I guess the mayor said they spent all this money on palm trees, probably spent a couple $100,000. There's a lot of palm trees there. And the main drags are lined with Trachycarpus, and they're big too. They weren't so big back then, but they're big now. And it looks absolutely awesome. And I like that when people catch on. It's kind of like you in a neighborhood where there's no palms and you start to plant them, and your neighbor says, hey, he comes over and asks a few questions, tell me about these things, and then he gets hooked on them too. Why not? They look nice, and it does give you bragging rights when you have a palm tree, right? Weather follower. Yeah, I hope it survived too. The starfish have had something happen to them here the last few years, and they've been vanishing. And a lot of them have vanished from our beaches. I don't know what happened to them, some sort of virus or something. Jane's been to Blodell Conservatory. Well, Jane, next time you're on the coast, you better come visit me on Salt Spring Island. All right? Salt Spring Island. You know how to get to Salt Spring. You get a drive down to Tsawwassen, which is that suburb where the palm trees grow. Hop on the ferry and come across to Salt Spring. And maybe I can make you dinner or something. And yeah, I'll show you our garden for sure. Summertime's always a nice time to come, or in the spring. Remember that. Blodell Conservatory. I've been in there many times. I used to live in Vancouver, and I used to live on Lulu Island, which is Richmond. And I remember going in there when it first opened up in 1969 when I was 5 years old. And I've been there on field trips when I was a kid too. Very, very nice place. You can Google Blodell Conservatory, or I have videos of it here. You can and you can see what it's like on YouTube. Check it out. It's a big dome full of tropical plants on Little Mountain. There's a large butia there. Yep. And I don't know. My parrot's in there, Jane. My pet parrot is in Blodell Conservatory, Art the macaw. I don't. The butia. Yeah, there is a butia in there. That's right, too. I don't know if there's any palm trees in the outer gardens, though. I don't really remember. They're beautiful gardens there, but I don't remember if there's any Trachycarpus out there. There may be. Daniel, I got some eastern prickly pear cacti that survived in Port Dover over the winter. Yeah, right on. Well, I tell you, any care tips for potted pygmy date palm, Phoenix robleanii? I've grown them inside the house, and they're very tricky because they're susceptible to spider mites in the dry air. So mist it and give it lots of light. That's the only advice I can give you, and keep it evenly moist. And yeah, don't let it dry out too much. But mine were just got infested with spider mites, so no more Phoenix for me. I had another one outside, and it got killed in the winter, so I'm done. I like them; they're beautiful palms, but I'm not good at growing them in this climate. Jane Tang, I think there's one, but it's next to the building. You know what? And I may have seen it. I just don't remember. I probably even have a video of it. I got so many videos on here, I lose track of it. So I may have a video of the palm tree at Blodell Conservatory. Palm trees, Jason Oli, absolutely. I think more people in cities where they can grow palms should grow them as street trees because, well, first of all, Trachycarpus is winter hardy. Here, they're disease resistant. And third, they don't lift roadways with their roots. You know, we have a problem right now in Centennial Park. All the promenade has to be ripped up because somebody planted oak trees in there about 35 years ago. And all the promenade, the roots from the oak trees have lifted all the concrete up. We have palm trees in there. We gave them to the park. I think it was 2001, and the eucalyptus in 1999. And the palm trees have never done any damage to that promenade, and they're growing right beside it. They're absolutely beautiful. Weather follower, would you ever buy a small palm from a garden center in Hawaii and have it shipped? No, but I bought a palm tree in Hawaii. The last time we were there on Maui, I bought a palm tree at one in South Kihei, and I donated it to the Buddhist temple in Paia. And I gave it to Galwick, the monk, and he put it in his garden. And he was very happy that I donated the palm tree. I brought seeds back from Maui, but there's nothing really on Maui that's going to grow here. So I kind of shy away from tropical palms as much as I love them. I like things that will grow in our climate. I don't want to baby things too much. You know what I mean? Like, to me, boxing in stuff is a lot of work. A little bit of protection is okay. if you get a cold blast, you can throw a plastic bag over it, like I did with the Syagrus butea. And the mules, I just put and the Parajube, I just put a plastic bag over it with no heat, and it did fine. But building structures is just a lot of work for me at my age. Justin Shaw, what are some tips for growing Cordyline australis? They will grow in partial shade, deep soil because they have a taproot on them. Once they're planted and established and they get a fair sized trunk, try not to dig them out and damage the taproot. That'll kill them. Full sun is better, and they don't like temperatures too much below 18 degrees Fahrenheit for the long term. Okay. If it's a prolonged freeze and temperatures are down to 18 or a little lower, it can freeze a cordyline. And I know that from experience because we had some big ones here and they froze in December 2008 when we got down to around 18 degrees Fahrenheit. They were big and they were blooming. So we have lots of cordylines still, and a lot of those resprouted back up again. They're pretty hardy plant, Cordyline australis. Daniel's in outside of the arbutus. What is your favorite native tree on the coast there in BC? Pacific wax myrtle would be the next one. A Pacific wax myrtle is another BLE, broadleaf evergreen, and it's usually found on the west coast of Vancouver Island. There are lots here on Salt Spring Island, but they're planted. I had one, the deer ate it, and it diminished. So I'm going to actually get another one that's on my list, a Pacific wax myrtle. We're heading off island tomorrow. Maybe I'll pick one up. And like there is an arbutus right there. There it is, right up there. You see that? That big green leafy thing? That is the native Pacific madrona tree. And they're about as tropical looking native plant as you're going to get here in Canada, okay? Let's see. Jane, I think aloes can grow outside in your climate. Yeah, I think so. I think hardy aloes would work. I actually did have some hardy aloes that I grew from seed, and the slugs ate them. I think it was the slugs. They were really small. I put them in there and they disappeared. And we have banana slugs here, and the worst, the banana slugs are native. The worst ones are the black ones, the ones that are imported from Asia, and they get in there and they eat everything up. So they're about this big, and they're quite nasty. I usually take them and throw them out of the garden. I don't really like to kill too many things, so I take them and I throw them out across the street into the forest. How are your musabajus doing? Martin's asking. They are thriving. They're getting big. They're getting big. I'll have to do a video of them. You know what? Tomorrow when I get back from the Big Island, I will do a video of our musabaju, and I will stand beside them so you can see how big they are. Daniel, thanks, Joe. This was fun. Got to run. Okay, take care, Daniel. Nice having you in there. Hey, Wendy, do you want to come and say hi? Come here, Mrs. Sneezy Pants. Come over here. It was busy in town. Well, it shouldn't be busy in town because they're telling people not to travel.
No, it was Friday.
It's Friday, so were they tourists?
No, a lot of local, but Friday.
This is really funny. I'm going to tell you something. There's Wendy. Hey. I'm going to tell you something really funny. I was at the four-way stop. We only have one four-way stop on Salt Spring in my Parks truck yesterday, the Parks truck. So I come up to the stop sign, and then there's a van that I've never seen before at the other stop sign. So I'm there just after him. He's there first. Don't recognize the van. They're telling people not to travel. Okay. Bless you too, weather follower. Thanks a lot, and join in anytime. Love you guys. And so anyway, I'm following the guy as he goes through the four-way stop. I get in behind this van. Don't even recognize the people in it. And like I say, they're telling you not to travel because of the pandemic, right? Especially to these islands. The islanders don't want outsiders here right now. And in the back window, I'm noticing a couple of pieces of paper, like a couple of signs. I thought at first it said for sale. As I got up closer in my truck, it says, "We are locals. We live here. We are not tourists." Like, nobody that lives here is going to put a sign in their back window that says, "We are locals. We are not tourists. We live here." These people were tourists, clearly. So at the first road, the crossroad, he hits a signal light. I could see this guy was lost, just past it, sorry. And he keeps driving and driving. And another 1.5 kilometers away, he slows down and he turns. I could see he was lost and he was not from here.
You're yelling.
That's good.
I can hear you all the way up.
Awesome. Do I have to keep my voice down, folks? I don't have an inside or an outside voice. I'm Italian. Wendy says keep her down a notch. I got to crank her down a notch. Willie Woodson, what is the tallest palm tree in Vancouver? They're over 30 feet tall. I know where they all are. There's some big palm trees in Vancouver. There's a really tall one in Burnaby, an old one at 4241 Rumble Street, planted in the 1960s. My buddy Gerard planted some really nice ones back in the 1960s. They're all 30 feet tall, 30 foot plus in his garden in South Vancouver. There's a back alley between 46th and 48th off of Canby, and there's a 30-footer in the backyard, backyard in the back alley there. So there's lots of tall palm trees in Vancouver and Victoria, lots of 30-footers, even on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Crank her down a notch. There's gravel trucking. Yeah, Wendy told me to be quiet. See, when I'm inside, I talk loud, and she goes like this. She goes like that. Keep her down. Keep her down. Or she pulls the blinds, right? And I just crank the blinds and I pull them back up again, right? So that's what I said. I don't have an inside voice. And I get excited talking to you guys about plants, right? It's a good thing. Nice to see you in there, gravel trucking. How's the weather up there? Hope you're having balmy and palmy weather up there on the Sunshine Coast. Let's just see. I think aloes can with a bag over it, Jane says. Well, I think you're right, Jane. And if I get some more hardy aloes, I should maybe get some seed online, maybe on eBay. Loud Italians. Yes, Italians are loud. And we do talk with our hands a lot. You notice I move my hands a lot? I said to somebody today, there's this deaf dude that always comes in and he does sign language. I says, I got to learn some sign language to the person that looks after him. He's a very nice guy. And he's mentally challenged. But I love this guy because he always tries to talk to me in sign language. So, I give him the thumbs up all the time. But I said to the lady that looks after him, I'm going to have to learn sign language. I move my hands around a lot, but I don't know it yet. Cloudy. Oh, really? Yeah, we got blue sky here. I'm going to show you the sky. There's the sky right there. It's nice and blue, and it's very warm out. It was 17 degrees when I got out here before I started flapping my gums, and that was about an hour ago. You see how long I talk for when I'm yapping about palms and plants and weather? Cloudy, but it's balmy up there. I know it's balmy. So gravel trucking lives up on the Sunshine Coast, a little bit north of Wendy's mom. Wendy's mom is in Secret Cove. Sunshine Coast is an amazing place and a great climate. Jason Dane, pandemic got bad on Maui locals guarding streets from tourists with firearms, telling them not. Oh wow, whoa, it's that bad. Well, I go to Maui every year, as most of you know, and I shoot a lot of videos there too. I love Maui. We are booked for the winter, but you know what? If there's no traveling allowed and they don't want us there, we're not going to go to Maui. I will just have to suffer here on Salt Spring Island and put up with all the grayness and rain and live vicariously through Jane in Honolulu. Yeah, I like going to Hawaii. It breaks up the winter and it gives us a little bit of extra summer when we go to Maui. Wow, they're pretty hardcore in Maui. They don't want the locals there. It's kind of like the locals here. We don't want any. They don't want the locals. They don't want the tourists there. That's like the locals here. They don't want the tourists here right now. As much as we need tourists for the economy, we don't want any here right now because we fear of bringing the pandemic to our island. And right now, we are COVID-19 free Spring Island. I feel very, very safe here on Salt Spring. Martin, what is the most surprisingly winter plant you have? It'd probably be Wendy's plant. Surprisingly winter hardy plant. Oh, okay. Well, that's not surprising. She's got Japanese maples. Okay. Wendy likes maples. So she's got a lot of Japanese maples. Those are very hardy. I would have to say my Gasteria. I would say I was very surprised that the Gasteria plants I put in survived the winter. And like I say, I got one at Home Depot and two at the grocery store here. And when it survived the winter, I'm thinking, whoa. And then it survived another winter and another winter. So I think we're going into fourth winter now, which is very surprising to me because I didn't think they were that hardy. Does anybody know how cold hardy a Gasteria plant is? You've seen my videos on it, the particular species. It does well. It's in very fast draining soil in full sun, growing with Dickia and under a large yucca. And there's some big native trees by it too, which probably protect it a bit. But really interesting plant. If you can find a Gasteria, try one in your garden. I don't know what zone they're hardy to. I'm going to have to maybe Google that and find out who else is growing them. I should actually post some pictures on People Who Love Palm Trees on my Facebook group and find out who else is growing wisteria. Jane, help me out, please. You probably know how hardy Gasteria is, and I know there's many species of them. We grab some more mint tea here. I won't stay on here too much longer. I think I'm going to stay on here another 7 minutes. I'm going to make it 1-1-1-1 even. And then we're going to go off, okay? And then I better help Wendy with her groceries, too. She's probably getting a little upset with me. I know she went to the grocery store, and she's got groceries to unload, and the car is very far from the house, so hopefully they're light groceries. It wasn't like a Costco shopping. Those are the ones I usually help her with because Costco shoppings, that's where you need an extra person to bring in the food. Yeah, same with the Hawaiians, yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I know they want tourists to stay away right now, and they don't recommend traveling to the islands. There was a couple. It was a couple of weeks ago that traveled to Maui from the mainland U.S. And you're supposed to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, they got caught running around out there, and they were arrested in the Costco parking lot. Jane Tang, grow Sapindas saponaria, the soapberry. It has pinnate leaves, but is not evergreen. Indigenous. Yeah, so soapberry. We have snowberry here, Symphyreocarpus alba. I wonder if I know that one. I have a book on plants of Hawaii, a couple of books. I should actually look in there. If not, hey, we got the internet and we can Google it. And if it grows if it's native to Hawaii and it grows here, then it's got to be quite hardy because Hawaii is like zone 10 or 11. Most of it's like 11, I think. The and it's like southern Florida, right? When you get out of the Florida Keys, it's very tropical, Hawaii. So that's why I figure most things in Hawaii won't grow here. So when you say it's indigenous to Hawaii and might grow here, that is pretty interesting. That is really, really cool. Grow grow it. Well, I don't know if it'd work here. I mean, I'll have to. How hardy is it, Jane? Tell me the hardiness on it. Like, is it hardier than say 20 degrees Fahrenheit? Like, I try plants that are hardy down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very rare that we get below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So a plant like that, if it did get down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, I could throw some. Gonna like it. In Hawaii, it's called manili. Manili. Cool. How big does it grow? Does it grow tall? Is it a tree or is it a bush? Evergreen. Interesting. Manili. Yeah, I'm not sure if I know that one. It's probably in my book of Hawaiian plants. Where can I buy palms in the Fraser Valley? Jello ostriches. You can buy them at Cedar Rim Nursery on Glover Road. Okay, they have lots of palms there. There's also another place on Fraser Highway. I think it's Fraser Highway or number 10. I was